Welcome back, Mirador Television, broadcasting out of the White House Hotel. And we're a mixed bag today. Coming up to Liza Page, who will be along in about 10 minutes, with her usual feisty look at an alternative view. We all forget very quickly in enthusiasm of what we're going to do in a given circumstance. And it wasn't too long ago that everybody was marveling at all the things they were going to do in memory of Stephen Catlin, not least of which is Station. And we haven't forgotten. We want to actually get the secret garden going. And we have a gardener who's willing to donate his time, who will look after it. And he reminded us that we said we would do it. And in fact, I have made arrangements to have coffee with the man who will keep a broad eye on it. So let's just remember, while we're waiting for Liza, what the Secret Garden was all about and is all about. Here we go.
Hello, here we are at what was Pinwell Lane. It ran up through here to the top of the High Street. It became closed off some years ago, and this land is now called Manorial Waste. And we have to thank Every, the great Lewis Ironmaster, for bringing the gateway from the Grey Friars Franciscan Priory here. This is the only bit that remains. The Premier Inn is now on the site and had been a railway station before. This is the much vaunted Secret Garden. Until just a few years ago, it was covered in weeds, brambles, and goodness knows what else. I suggested to the friends of Lewis that it would be better, considering its location behind this ancient gateway, if we could cultivate it a bit. And aided by Jane Tyra and Gillian Ross, I've managed to turn it into this. I'm somewhat embarrassed to say a lot of people keep coming to take photos of it. And I can see there's an overturned pot I must rescue. But here we are. This is one of the better examples of the fruits of my labours. And I hope it gives you pleasure. Thank you. And this, the family burial place of William Edwin and Anne Baxter. And dear little Emily in amongst the undergrowth somewhere. The hollyhocks will be butchered this week. But it is rather nice, the bizarre colours matching exactly how Victorian colour printing was done. But it will get a tidy up this week, I promise. because it'll be me that does it. Oh, and the bees. I'm so pleased to see bees and butterflies around here. There is one feeding. Isn't that wonderful? There's one bee I've saved. It's easy to get lost in the middle of this. See, zinnias, nearly 3 foot tall. They're only supposed to grow a foot. Must have been a good horse. So much colour. Well, I don't think death should be sombre. It should always be a bit bright and jolly. We'll just move this. Let the colour radiate. That's it. It looks good from the other end, don't it? Like all shows, backstage is not so pretty. Mind the bricks behind you.
Now, for those people who are not familiar with the Secret Garden, it was a wonderful little strip of land, a former lane or Switton, which the late Stephen Catlin undertook to turn into a beautiful little secret spot. Not big, but beautiful. And since he was taken ill, he tended it himself. As mayor, he tended it, and as councillor, he tended it. And prior to his death, he kept it in immaculate shape. Well, it's been let go, despite everybody saying how wonderful it was. And as far as I'm concerned, or aware, there are no plans to keep it going, except for those which Mirador formulated. And this coming week, we will start a little meeting to make sure that the plans that we have for it, and they're not overwhelming, but we do want to see it restored to its former glory and to maintained. And John Henty has suggested that in memory of Stephen Catlin, we erect from public subscription a rather bigger than normal watering can, because Stephen Catlin was known for tending the gardens around Lewes himself. The mayor would go out and tend the gardens, and everybody now is forgiving. We just got a little thing too on Facebook. It is about my left feet, all two of them. And what we at Mirador are going to make sure is that garden stays its beautiful self, not least of which is a tourist attraction. And frankly, if I'm going to have a go, is there's very little that anybody thinks very strongly about tourism in this town. Oh, sure, there are lots of things that happen. Oh, sure, we got memorials, we got all sorts of things, but do we turn it into vital things? No, we don't. So we've got to start to think about that. This town used to throb. It don't throb anymore. And we've got to get it back throbbing. It's throbbing that bring people in, bring tourists in, a sense of excitement, a sense of worth, a sense that the citizens care about their community. Now, some of the edge has gone off this because we've become a dormitory town. A lot of people live here, sleep here, but go off to work elsewhere and aren't here and don't take part in the town. So we want to spur that sense of excitement. Make it a tourist town. We have lots and lots of things that are attractive, but they sort of happen ad hoc. We don't seem to do anything in any sort of order, any sort of coordinated movement. Well, that should change. That should change. Now, the Stevens Secret Garden was a nice little gem, and it should remain a nice little gem. And we are going to do our best to see it restored, so that when people walk down Friars Walk, they pause and they look through that very ancient Grey Friars Gate and they see beautiful flowers, beautiful little garden. And on the other side of the fence, nothing really that we can do about it, but there are memorials to some of the great people, Everys, Baxters, some of the great industrialists that made Lewes what it is. And their monuments, their gravestones are overgrown. We should try and do something about that as well. Sad that we have to put it into the public domain, but we do. Okie dokie. Liza will be along in 10 minutes' time.
Hello.
Oh, she's here. Goodness gracious me. Good morning, my darling.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. You made a mistake. You said I was coming here at 10, but you told me not to come here until 11.
I know I did. I know I did.
Dear.
And as a matter of fact,
what are we going to do?
what we're going to do is we're going to talk this through because television is a living thing. And this morning,
It is living. You've got to feed it all the time.
absolutely. But also, it like all living things, is it doesn't stay static. And so as we go through and we get experiences, we have to make changes.
Yes.
And this morning, I realized that I'd shot myself in the foot.
What did you do?
Well, I left myself with everything to do from 8 o'clock onwards. Can you not see the haggard look?
Yes, you do look a little bit tired, my poor darling man. Never mind.
Yeah, but
Never mind.
I from time to time I like to do this anyway. But I ran an old program, and I looked at some of the things that we had done in the past, and I realised that there are things that we should resurrect. And so I've been able to almost use 1 hour this morning of research. So I still like to keep you at 11 o'clock, but I will talk to you about how we might fill from 10 to 11 now, because there's lots we can do. Lots we can do. And we are getting a number of people now who they're realizing the power of Mirador Television. They're realizing the excitement that we're bringing. They're realizing the variety of things that we're doing. And they're also realizing that we are not fettered that nobody comes on here and is told what to do, including you.
No.
So I need to do a bit more thinking. So we will keep you at 11 o'clock, my darling, because I think that the people who enjoy you most are the people that start to watch at 11.
Really?
I
I
think so.
didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. That's really good.
Right. So here you are.
Yeah.
And
Here I am.
let's just what we better do is because you'll batter me over the ears if I leave it this way. We better make sure that we've got you properly identified and me out of the way if we can. And I don't know where that one is. It says Keith. Well, that's okay.
No, it's not. It's me.
It's you. There you go. You're going along the bottom.
But I want to go at the
Oh,
top.
actually, I see. Ah, there we go. That's the one. No, I need to get rid of that, and I don't know how.
Yes, you do. Take your time. There's no
right,
hurry at all.
There's the. Let's have a look. That's ticker. All right. Yes, but why not take my time? I'll take my time.
Take your time.
What I'm looking for is Liza Page. That's what I'm looking for. And
I think you've got very cross with me and you have wiped me off completely.
Oh, you think so?
I think that's what
Oh,
you've done, yes.
God.
In your angry mood.
Oh,
That's
then in that case, I'm in fear and trembling this morning for having done that. There
we
that's
are.
Liza Page ticker.
Nearly had it.
And we don't want the ticker. You don't like the ticker. See, I put that up. And there it is, Liza Page. But you don't like the ticker. So we got to bugger it. Let's create a banner, shall we? You see what you can do when you add a banner.
Do you know, I really wish I could help you.
It's all right. It's there we go. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da.
Ta-da.
I haven't a clue how I did that.
I always had faith in you. I always had faith in you to do the right thing.
Now, is the ladies that we have on this program are all blue-arsed flies, and nobody is more blue-arsed than Liza. Believe me, in a week, what she gets through in terms of research and where she goes and what she does and so on is you wouldn't believe it. It is beyond human comprehension. So the result is always on a Thursday we hear what she's been up to. What have you been up to this past 7 days?
Well, I'm in a 5G mood.
Oh.
You mentioned it earlier, and they've stuck one up here, haven't they?
Are they where?
Yes, up at the Neville, right outside the school.
Oh,
little
gosh.
children, Anyway, let me read. This is by a journalist called. Let's look at this lady's name, Gillian Jameson. She writes for the Daily Skeptic, which is very nicely written. I'm sure, being a journalist yourself, you will appreciate her work. Okay. 5G. The government's reassurances on 5G safety fail to persuade. Wouldn't you think that if the government wanted to make the UK a world leader in 5G, that its ministers would know some basic things about regulatory organization. They follow. The International Commission on Non-Ionization and Non-Ionized Radiation Protection, ICNIRP, arrived at its recommendation for safe exposure. I recently wrote to my MP, Rishi Sunak, to alert him to my situation in needing to avoid radio frequency radiation, RFR, or electromagnetic fields, EMF, due to health damage I suffered 20 years ago when I lived 15 meters from a mobile phone mast. Before, dear reader, you tell me that my conclusion is pure speculation, let me tell you that this likely explanation only occurred to me after the death of a second neighbor from motor neurone disease, and after months of my suffering with flu-like symptoms and heavily swollen neck glands, followed by health problems with which I will not bore you. Anyway, Mr. Sunak very diligently put my concerns to two ministerial colleagues, while telling me in the meantime that he proposed to blanket the UK with the fastest wireless coverage available. My reply to the latter remark was as follows. The government purportedly stands by the results of the Stewart Report 2000 and states here, adults should be able to make their own choices about reducing their exposures, should they so wish, but we able to do this from an informed position. How will this be possible if the country is blanketed? Smart devices, phone masks, and WIF are now everywhere. Everywhere there are people. Will you inform people where coverage is lightest if they wish to reduce exposure? Will you make sure that non-smart transactions are always possible? Will you ensure that some areas will always have landlines and smart meter and smart camera and smart camera free, and so on? Well, she's got a good point, hasn't she?
Well, she has.
I mean, if he wants to smother the earth like his other colleagues with this radiation, but we have a choice. What choice do we
have? Exactly. I mean, this is a prime example of where those who live in the Westminster bubble have no idea what's happening in the country that they're supposed to represent.
None whatsoever. It's petrifying.
Yes, but
this, darling, this is our leader.
Yes, but if I can just engage you in a little chat about this for a moment, Liza, because I think we did vaguely touch on this. Now, let me start off by saying that our two barristers, is Richard, laughs because we from time to time we discuss which television programs are real and which aren't.
Yeah.
And I said, I would like to be Judge John Deed. And he laughs.
Yes.
And he said, the only reason that you want to be like Judge John Deed is because he chases every skirt that comes into his court.
That was a jolly good series.
It was a very good series. But he laughs and he says to me, you would love this courtroom because it's a Judge John Deed type courtroom. But the reason that I'm going down this route is that the people who made Judge John Deed did a very, very good program about 5G.
I remember it,
You
where
remember?
the woman died of cancer of the
Yes,
brain
that's right.
from the
Yeah,
radiation.
Yeah, and there is no question
And
that
she
the
leaves a
producers
little boy
implied
behind
that she died as a result of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Absolutely.
there are other people who are concerned about this,
Yes.
and I think that you have pinpointed something that is of general concern, and God bless you for doing so.
Yes, it's a big, big problem. And I mean, this is all down to Mr. Musk, isn't it?
Well,
Swamping,
One of them, yeah.
the planet in radiation,
yeah.
the way he's doing. And it is, it's a big, big deal, I can tell you.
Well, I'm glad that you picked that up because I think that's a live one that we have to.
Didn't that lady
say.
wvery a good letter? Huh?
Yes,
very
indeed.
good, very nice.
Well,
I
as you
knew
say, she's a journalist, isn't she?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it shows, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know. So we've got that. Now we have. Oh dear, he's risen again. What's the matter now, child?
Jeff Dodo. I'm watching live from Ghana.
Hello, Jeff. Hello. Good. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yes.
Isn't it that somebody's taken the trouble to tune in?
All the way from Ghana. Yes. That's terrific, isn't it?
Absolutely lovely.
Well done,
that's
Jeff.
made
Thank
my
you.
day. That's right.
Very happy that you've taken the time and trouble to tap in. But I keep saying to everybody, we're not just Lewis, we are international.
Yes.
I have to laugh at our man who regularly taps in from Patagonia.
Well, look, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go on with you.
But we haven't finished with this yet, Keith. I know.
He says, "Love you guys."
He said what?
He says, "Love you guys."
Oh, oh, that's nice. That really is lovely.
Isn't it? Yeah. Well done, Jeff.
Can't you tune in to us and have a chat?
Well, if only we could do the two-way, but
That
unfortunately
would be
we
marvelous.
can't. But,
Well, we've got to get to the stage where we can, Keith.
yes,
absolutely
indeed.
have it.
Yeah.
But back to these 5Gs. I mean, we've got one in this town, and I thought we had more, quite frankly. And the government has not approved them. So why doesn't somebody go and take the monster down?
Well, it's like anything else. If somebody will somewhere say, "Oh no, they're covered by regulation," which was passed in 1953 or something.
Yeah.
You know what governments are like, and to change it. I mean, if you want to change government regulation, what you need is a herd of buffaloes.
And a longer life than you and I have.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely horrified. Got on the internet to find out how many were actually in Lewis, and could only find the one. But I want to tell you something. So much is being blocked out on the internet. I'm having such difficulty getting correct information.
Well, that's the big worry about the internet is there's so much fake stuff out there. You really need to.
It's not fake. There's just a silence.
Well,
and as soon as you get a really good channel, reliable people, bang, they take them off. Really?
Well, that's one way of censorship, isn't it?
Yes.
But so far, nobody has taken us off, and as you know, we I'm going to play this if you don't mind, because it will tell people exactly what you're. And there we are. That's what we stand for.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, do we ever?
Dynamite. That's what we are. Dynamite.
Yes. Yes.
We may look cozy, but not a bit of it. Okay, next.
Okay, now, yeah, boy, he has risen. He has risen. You think I'm talking about Jesus, don't you? Well, I'm not, I promise you. WEF, speech given by World Economic Forum, WEF leader Klaus Schwab, is going viral again. Last November at the B20 summit in Indonesia, Mr. Schwab talked about harnessing the power of innovation for the future of economic growth. During his remarks, Mr. Schwab reiterated his intentions for how his organization intends to shape the economic future of the world. Part of that plan includes what he calls stakeholder capitalism, where companies are beholden not to shareholders who invested in the company, but rather stakeholders themselves. Mr. Schwab defines stakeholders as anyone with a vested interest in the outcomes of what a company creates on the world. Of course, in reality, only those with power and influence will have their voices heard.
Right. Yeah, it's a good way. I'm being very democratic, but there are only a few people who can benefit from this democracy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I found a comment from the USA, which I thought was rather good. This person has said, the USA has the power to collapse the UN forever, since the US is paying around 60% of all contributions to keep this outfit and its organizations afloat. Getting out of the UN would end their domination over the world, since it would collapse without the high contributions from the USA. I doubt China would pay to keep them afloat.
Yes. Well,
not bad, that one.
No, it's not. And in fact, as I recall, a few years ago, the United Nations hit a financial crisis. And it was because the US State Department didn't pay its share. And the reason it didn't pay its share is it said, look, here we got 30 or 40 small countries, left wing, not in tune with the United States, making all the decisions and not paying any money.
Yeah.
So America said, why are we paying for this?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not
was...
totally sympathetic to Americans, but nonetheless, it is a fair
comment.
point. Yeah,
absolutely. It shows someone's got a bit of sense over
yes, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, no, that's a good one with that about the United Nations. Incidentally, have you ever been into the United Nations?
No.
I had lunch there a few years ago now. The most remarkable members dining room, because by statute they must provide food suitable for every member nation. So you go into this thing, absolutely hundreds and thousands of different dishes every day.
Cost?
Exactly.
I did hear that that these meetings, these government meetings, they do them rather well.
Yes.
Food wise, yes.
I was naughty. I asked for fish and chips.
Did you? Oh, that I don't believe. No. Very dodgy luck. It's been going on far too long. Maui. Okay. People, there's no news on Maui at all on the internet. everything has been cut off.
Really?
You can't get in there at all to find out what is going on in any shape or form. Maui, fire disaster. People are in an uproar over the unanswered question regarding the wildfire in Maui. They are not allowed back into their homes, and no one is allowed to send drones over or get questions answered about the many missing children. Oprah Winfield is asking for money. Send some money and it'll go right in your hand, she's saying. You know how much she's worth? Yeah.
I hesitate to ask.
Oprah Winfield is asking
Winfrey,
for.
I think it is, isn't it?
Well,
Winfrey or Winfield?
Winfield. God knows, and who cares?
Yes.
Oprah Winfield is asking for money to help the people. They say, why doesn't she give some of her own money? And why was her house and other celebrity homes left totally unscathed by the fires? Hundreds of people are missing, and governments are not answering. They say government is hiding a great deal. Videos are being taken down off the internet. Why is this happening? Many people are going bankrupt and cannot manage on the $700 awarded to them. How can these multi-millionaire celebrities' homes remain totally untouched? Yeah. But one here, this is very, very interesting.
Incidentally, Oprah Winfrey or Winfield, whichever, you're quite right. She's very wealthy. Actually, I suppose, in a televisual way, not bad looking. So I sent an invitation for her to marry me.
You did?
But it turns out she can't make a decent bacon sarnie.
Oh, then it's no good, is it?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
Disqualified.
No. Yeah, I mean...
Got to make a decent bacon sarnie to catch my affection.
Yes, I have something here, but I seem to have left it home. Oprah is worth $3. She owns, I think it's over 380 acres on Mount Maui. She is worth, what does she want all that acreage for? Tell me. Now, she is worth $3.5 billion.
Wow.
Dollars. That's an awful lot of money to put the hand out, isn't it?
Yes.
And say, send me some money,
Yes.
please, and I will distribute this amongst the people.
Yes.
She was there, with the homeless people dishing out cushions and blankets and things like that, making her.
And the thing is,
here we go.
She does what we do, and she doesn't do it anywhere near as well.
Exactly. What is it? Oprah Winfrey's net worth is $3.5 billion. Oprah owns more than 2,000 acres of land on Maui. Other celebrities own property on Maui are Jeff Bezos, Mick Fleetwood, Paul Simon, Jim Carrey, Owen Wilson, Willie Nelson, Clint Eastwood, Julia Roberts, Lady Gaga, Bill Gates, Morgan Freeman, Justin Bieber. The Hawaiian County Council voted on July to halt 5G developments on the Big Island until the controversial technology is proven safe.
Wow. So the influence of people with money and celebrity.
Yeah, not bad, that is it.
No, it's not.
Not bad, that
It's
one
not.
at all. Yeah.
No. I'd like you to repeat that next week and the week after.
Oh, I will
Because
indeed.
it shows how, we talk about democracy and how wonderful it is. Rishi Sunak won't listen. And yet the technology is on Maui or isn't on Maui,
No.
and is being its future is being dictated by wealthy people.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. come on, we knew all this, didn't we? You
No,
know, but we're
certainly
trying to
did.
get it out to other people.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we're trying to do. Here from Network. The new Senate bill establishes a new federal agency in charge of social media. The bill was put forward by Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, nice lady, and Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. It would establish a digital consumer protection commission to police, censor, and deplatform social media as the government sees fit. Already, I don't like it. After a judge told the government to stop censoring social media, they now want a government agency that can do it for them.
Oh no, let me be clear about this. A new Senate bill. This is in the United States as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, this is in America. And a judge, God bless him, has said, no, you can't do that. So they said, right, well, we can't do it, but we get a little organization to do it for us.
Yes, yes.
It's so, you know, I'm having terrible trouble getting a show together that has got viable information because
Well.
they're cutting all the good stuff out.
But the thing is, Liza, that under these circumstances, one of the things that I learned as a journalist, quite late in life, actually, quite late in my journalistic career. I did some work for Dow Jones.
Yes.
Before Rupert bought it.
Dow Jones Average, that's a stock exchange.
That's right, but it's also a news agency, a business news agency.
I didn't know
And
that.
they have something called an enterprise story.
Uh-huh.
And what they do is they take a little scrap of information, just a tiny little scrap of information, and say, hang on, that sounds suspicious. And what they do is they gnaw at it and they gnaw at it and they gnaw at it and they get more and more until in the end they've got a big story which
Yeah.
they've built from this tiny little bit of information.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yes.
And you're doing enterprise stories. So don't apologize for them.
Yeah.
What you do is each week when you come on, you give us a little bit more information, building it.
Yes.
And I could get you a job with Dow Jones. You're doing absolutely the right thing.
I've got a job,
terrific.
darling. Working for Mirador.
Right. Okay. What else have we got?
With human trafficking is the second largest criminal industry in the world. Millions of children and babies are trafficked for sex organ transplants and sold for their blood. People cannot believe the level of depravity. Now, that film that came out, stirred the pot. But there's always a but with these things. And this is a frightening but. This was to get people aware of the number of children that do go missing in pretty much every major countries in the world. And they've done a good job. The film was made 5 years ago by Disney, but wasn't released, which I find very interesting. Anyway, going forward, I had the pleasure of, I didn't interview him, but I was allowed to copy his show, film his show at the symposium called Mark Devlin, who goes deep with his books into the corruption and the black magic that goes into the music industry with this satanic music that is being allowed nowadays. And unbelievable. But does this guy have his facts straight? He really and truly does. I promise you, God bless you, Mark. And he came up with something in his thing. He said, it's great what these guys are doing with the human trafficking, putting it before the public so the public are made aware of it. He said, but I'm very frightened when they bring on these laws microchipping. They'll say, right, well, let's microchip every child on the planet. That way we'll know where they are.
Yeah.
They could turn this into something.
Yeah, you don't know whether it's the biter getting a next bite.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm glad he did break that up, because we must be aware of that.
I mean, one of the things that I find it very difficult to come to grips with is that for everything that we do to try and control the situation is in the wrong hands. It becomes a control that is very undemocratic and not in the interests of people.
And most stuff today is in the wrong hands and not in the interest of human beings in general.
Yeah,
But I had a very encouraging. I watched David Icke program. David's out on the road now. God bless him. God, it must be hard work for him, man of that age. But he's working capacity business, and because they try to stop all his shows. So if you buy your tickets, you won't know where the venue is until 90 minutes before the show,
really?
Really?
Yeah.
And so, he's seen, because they take delight in closing him down, of course. But his son was holding the fort there on the channel while David's on the road. And he's a little bit optimistic, I tell you. He said that these pushbacks that we are making, Britain leads the world in pushbacks. I didn't know that. I thought Germany was doing it, but no, we lead it with our marches, so they are having some effect. And he said they're rats in a sewer fighting for their lives. Yes. So that was a little bit reassuring to me.
Liza, you've slightly disturbed me. I thought that David Icke had now really achieved not respectability, but acceptance. That people don't try to ban him anymore because some of the stuff that he said is becoming obvious that it's fact.
But we only have the internet for David to work over, and live performances, are invaluable to him, and they really are. You've never seen him work? I mean, the man is magic on the stage. I tell you, so that part of his business is and they've stopped him going to those countries, and they've banned him off the BBC. So he's banned from sort of a lot of channels. So he has to get out on the road, and I would not put it past the government trying to block him from his shows. They've done it in the past in all different countries, and they've done it in Britain. So he's not taking any chances this time.
Yes. I mean, what bothers me is the thinking by the establishment is we don't like what this man says. So what we'll do is we'll stop him espousing the cause. But Tom Paine was exactly the same. Yes. And now we laud Tom Paine, right? I mean, Tom Paine, the rights of man is the king must not have power.
Absolutely.
And David Icke is in a different context, saying the same thing.
Well, I know
eventually surely we should be listening to make up our own minds.
Yeah, this
not
man
being told.
is brilliant. You know how devoted I am to him and his work.
Yeah.
I know that when he goes, they'll say, hey, he was right, and they'll build statues to him. He said that is the last thing I want.
Yes. Well, it's. I mean, I think you're right, because now Tom Paine is lauded for his views and what he said. There was a pub named after him across the way, the Rights of Man.
Yes.
He was banned from the Crown Hotel for espousing those same rights of man.
Well, we're in here where he used to hang out.
That's right, absolutely. Look at the roof. It covered Tom Paine. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I swear he's behind us. He's definitely behind you, keeping this channel running.
One of the things that I enjoy sharing this hour with you each week. It is one of the things that really I am pleased about. Is that there are now a bigger and bigger feeling of awareness of breaking down establishment resistance. Is at one time, stroke of the pen, you could stop people thinking certain things and saying certain things. You can't do it quite as easily today.
No.
And it is a result of people like yourself who wage a campaign and go on a crusade to try and change thinking. And changing thinking is not easy.
It's very,
Not easy.
very difficult.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about it, Keith.
Well, indeed, and I know that sometimes you feel it overwhelms you, and you fight back. So it's vitally important that we continue with this sort of thing, and with people such as yourself who devote so much time to searching the internet and researching and coming up with stuff that we never hear about. Never hear about, except through
And
people
also,
such as
you see, I am in a very fortunate position. I do have the time to be able to do this. When most people, they've got to make a living, for goodness sake. And when they come back from work, the last thing in the world they want to do is switch on that internet and find out a bunch of very, very serious, depressing facts. That is the last thing they want to do. And, you can't blame them, especially the kind of people that all they're used to is the BBC and, right from birth, this sort of thing, which has dumbed them down and, manipulated the mind. I mean, so we've got really something to do, you and I, to bring these facts home to people.
Yes. Well, as I say to you, when you actually think that perhaps you're not making any headway, but for instance,
we are, because that man from where?
Ghana comes on.
Yes, he
can. But also, most people, including you, if I may say so, do not understand the power of television. It is enormously powerful.
Yes, it
enormously
is.
powerful.
Terrible.
And we sit here and we look. There's nobody here. Who's listening to us? Hundreds and thousands.
Yes, indeed.
We just can't see them.
No.
And when we get the odd person flick back and say, "Hey, love you guys,"
it is that is marvelous, yeah. And he's taken the trouble to do that.
Yeah. So don't ever give up on television. It is enormously powerful, and I mean, I'm not saying that we're the most powerful, but you can, to some extent, understand that the establishment tried to stop people going on, people like the BBC, who are much more powerful than us. But it doesn't matter which channel you're talking about. It's got that terrific power.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes.
Well,
right. I'm very, very grateful to people that listen to me, what I've got to say. You might not agree, but nevertheless you listen and you hear me out, and I'm thankful for that.
Now you know what's coming from me, don't you? Yes. Where are we with our 15-minute cities?
I have absolutely no idea, because they've totally disappeared.
Do you think that we've wiped them out?
No, I don't. But they might have backed off slightly. And I think that's what Jamie Ike on the Ike Alternative channel might have been talking about, when he says, no, they don't worry, they're getting frightened. They're rats in a sewer and they're fighting for their lives in there. And I don't honestly think that he would give out that encouraging information if we weren't winning.
No, I mean, it's good to, and I know that he's got in his hot little hands a couple of your programs, has he not?
Well, yes, whether he's had time to view them or not, I don't know, because you have no idea how busy they are and how hard those men work. Unbelievable. And there was a nice little thing, though, on there from Gareth Ike. Yeah, it was really nice. He was out jogging and he said, we work so hard on the channel, and just to be able to, even though I'm working now, I'm filming, he said, out in this heat jogging, he said, I've got these 2 little babies and a lovely wife. He said, I was in my 30s when I had my children and settled down and got married. And he said, for all the troubles and, the strife and tribulations that the world is going through, and as hard as I'm working, he said, I look back on my life and it's so much better today than it was yesterday.
Well, can you try and send him a little message?
Yes.
And say that we at Mirador are delighted to see that he's working almost as hard as we do.
I'll do that, yeah. But the Gareth and his brother, Jamie, younger brother, Jamie's the younger of the 2. They married sort of late-ish,
Yes.
And they've got their 2 babies that the latest one still keeps them up at night, so they come in very bleary-eyed, God bless them. But they have changed from boys to men. They're now men.
Yeah.
He said the change since we've had our children is unbelievable. He said your whole mindset changes.
Yeah.
You live for that child. You don't live for yourself anymore.
Yeah.
That comes first. And
Well, that's dedication, isn't it?
total
That's,
dedication. And I have utmost admiration for
Yeah.
those young people there that are all working so very hard there to do what they're doing.
Well, as usual, the time zips by. We've been together for 40 minutes. Yes, we have, and we've talked about a lot of things, and we've gone. But I would like, if I may, Liza, because it's in keeping with the sort of theme. As you know, is freedom of speech and democracy is very, very important to me, and I would just like to make a comment, which is only vaguely related to yours, but I think this is the right forum. Our colleague Stuart Downey came to me in the week, and he phoned me and he said, I've discovered that you cannot be a councillor, a local councillor, if you're a Freemason. And so,
What? Say that again.
You cannot be a councillor if you're a Freemason.
Oh, if you are a
Yes.
Freemason.
Now, I looked this up, and I think that actually, while that was true, that it's been revoked.
Really?
But in doing so, I looked at all the qualifications for being a local councillor, and everybody has to make a declaration of their personal interests to make sure that there is no conflict. I discovered, and I've got to read it more carefully, that they subscribe to a charter for local politics that says we will not use our influence for anything other than our constituents' interests. I read that as being, if you belong to a political party, you can't be a councillor.
Very, very interesting.
So watch
Very,
it.
very
Watch it.
interesting.
I'm looking at this to see whether I'm right. And if it is, it means that a lot of you are going to have to resign, and we're going to have a new election with people who aren't in the political party.
Because I'm most interested to know which of our councillors are members of this. What is it called? Oh, I forgot. Memory. Sorry. This Young World Leaders Party. That is becoming very powerful, and they've been at it over 25 years now, where they're like the Trudeau lot and the Arden and the people we have talked about in the past. Common Purpose, that is the name of the organization that trains these particular people. They tried to run them out of Britain, but they opened up again in Canada, and they're well at it.
Well, the Canadian scene is really getting quite dangerous.
Oh, yes.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Stu behind me, and I've just quoted him, but I shall talk to him a little later about this because it bears investigation. Okay, are we done?
I guess so.
All right.
Is it wine o'clock?
It is wine o'clock. All right. Then thank you for being with us. Thank you, Liza, as usual. A feisty morning, and as I learned a lot today because I played some of our old programs and I saw what we were doing and some of the things that we have stopped doing and we should start to do again. Now I need to put my spectacles on just to say good. Right.
Toodle pip.
Okay.
Toodle pip properly.
Toodle pip properly.
Toodle pip properly.
Here we go.